everyone, it is Shannon and I am here today to talk about a film for 31 Days of Horror 2019, and today we are talking about The Fall of the House of Usher. Oh my, look at that poster. So cool. So cool. Okay, this one is sometimes just simply titled The House of Usher, but in the credits, when they come up, it says The Fall of the House of Usher. It is directed by Roger Corman, and it is based on the Edgar Allan Poe short story. The screenplay for this was actually by Richard Matheson, who wrote I Am Legend, so all of that is like leading up to goodness, right? This stars Vincent Price, Mark Damon, Mryna, Fahey, and Harry Ellerbe. It is from 1960. I would put it a bit more in the classification of a drama, but it is definitely horror because actually this one I would say is Gothic because it has romantic elements and horror elements and it's very stylized. So I'm actually going with Gothic for this one. And Gothic I think always has to be horror, or at least Gothic is, I think, technically defined as has elements of horror and romance. I'll put the Wikipedia down below for Gothic. I haven't looked at it for a while, but I think that's what makes Gothic Gothic. I gave this one a 7.5 out of 10, or 7 out of 10, or 3.5 out of 5. But I unfortunately did not give this one a heart. I did not love it, and I am so sad about that because, like, seriously, Vincent Price, big old house, Edgar Allan Poe, Richard Matheson, Roger Corman, like, why did I not love this? Why did I not love this? I don't know. Well, I do know. I will know. I do know why. I thought this one was a little dry and a little slow and a little confusing and not that scary and not that creepy. So, sad face. Literal sad face right now. Okay, let's get to the details. So, we follow Mark Damon's character who is betrothed to, I think it's Marjorie Usher. So he comes to the house on horseback. This is historically set. You know, he's got like even, I think, an ascot and everything. So I don't know when it's supposed to be, but it's like, you know, horses, horse-drawn carriages and stuff like that. But he arrives on horse to the House of Usher to speak with his betrothed, who he has not seen in quite some time. And Vincent Price plays her brother, and he's like, no, you can't see her. No, she's not going to leave the house. No, the betrothal was, or the wedding, the like getting engaged was not a good choice. And he's very, I don't know if I would say protective or like what, but then we do see her and she seems fine and she really likes this fella. So what's going on here, right? I am not sure what's going on here, to be quite frank. I found they did explain sort of like what was going on, but I felt like the explanation they gave didn't really explain it. Do I have to go into spoilers already? Okay, before I go into spoilers, I will share some of the things that I liked about this. I do like Vincent Price. I always like Vincent Price, but I thought this one was just, it was so slow that it just didn't have a lot of drama to it. A lot of the conversations were just sort of back and forth the same thing, and they didn't progress very well. Like, you know, it was very clear that this young fellow wanted to see her, wanted to marry her, wanted to do this, and they're just like, no, not even evasive. Like, it was just like, no, she can't leave the house. No, that's not gonna happen. Like, it was very, you know, it's like, no, it's not good. You gotta progress the story. You know, you can't just, and for actors that must have been so challenging because it doesn't, the dialogue just didn't progress the story. So, but it was really strange because when he would see her, she was interested in him, but she was saying, and she would say things like, my brother won't let me leave, but not say whether or not she wanted to leave. So that was confusing. I think the person who actually gave the most information was the guy who worked in the house. And so we had Mark Damon's character talk to him, and he would be evasive and sometimes lie, but then we would finally get hints at what was going on here. Like, what things were strange, and it isn't just like her possessive brother. But then as it turns out, like as things start to develop, you start to see like strange behavior, and he's got like, even Vincent Price's character, he's very sensitive to sound, and they make him the engaged guy like take off his boots so that he wears like slippers so he doesn't make as much sound. And so you're like, okay, that's really strange, and he's really affected by light, and you're like, oh, I can understand where this is going, but is that where it went? I don't know. I don't know. So I also really did enjoy the art direction in this one, and the costumes and stuff like that, you know, because it's a period piece, and it was done in 1960. So for me, I just like the styling of that. It's very dramatic. There's lots of color. There were some ridiculously disturbing portrait paintings in this one. Holy smokes. Very disturbing, but they were really cool at the same time. So that was one of my favorite things of the entire film, were these strange portrait paintings. So that'll tell you something about how much I enjoyed it, other than I'm just pretty much flat out saying that unfortunately I found it a bit dry, a bit boring. So now I'm going to go into spoilers a little bit, because I actually am a bit confused as to what the resolve, not what the resolve was, but what the explanation is. So spoilers are going to be starting now. Generally, I would say, like, for me, if you're going to pick, I was looking for a spooky or haunted house movie, and this came up on a couple lists. I don't know if I would classify it as a haunted house movie. And in terms of a Vincent Price movie, it is not one of my favorite. And I do tend to like him quite a lot. So it was disappointing on both of those fronts. So I'm not sure if I would recommend this one. Like, if you have access to it and you want to throw it in the mix, and you want something with some great art direction and a bit of a creepy atmosphere, and don't mind it being a little slower, then maybe go for it. But for me, I don't think I'd rewatch it. And so there's that. Okay, now let's get into spoilers. Okay, so I really don't understand what was actually the story or the explanation behind this, because the explanation that they gave was that the predecessors, like the people in the Usher family, as you go back in years, were horrible people, and like in terms of like just like all sorts of really horrible things, and so it kind of feels like their children are cursed. That is sort of the explanation that's given. But like, it also kind of like the whole like sensitive to sound thing and to light, I'm like, are they vampires? And then there was some leanings that possibly, not necessarily Vincent Price, but his sister could be a vampire. But then they didn't really go far enough to let you know if that was true. And then there were some horrific things with this one, in terms of the fact that they sort of fake her death so that Mark Damon's character will leave. But then he figures it out, and so he tries to find her, and then that's when she seems kind of like a vampire. Like, she really goes after him, and she's all like weirded out and stuff. So I have no idea what like actually was going on with these characters. Was there a curse upon them? Was it something to do with the house? Because the house was kind of falling apart as well, and so they talked about that, like whether it was just going to like fall apart or explode, or that there was some kind of fissure or something. And it does end up like, I don't remember, I think a fire ends up being set. But was it intentional? Was it by the evil ancestors? Is it the curse upon them? I don't know. I don't know. And I thought it was really horrible, especially that both, like, Vincent Price's character, you know, pretty quickly that he's not to be trusted. But the guy that works at the house, I thought it was pretty strange that he would like just straight out lie to Mark Damon's character, and then be like, "Oh yeah, no, we did bury her alive, but I didn't want you to know." Like, seriously? You tended this house and these people their entire lives, and you don't mind like fake burying her to make this guy go away? Now, maybe Vincent Price's character had some kind of hold over him. I don't know. So yeah, this was a bit of a weird one. This was sadly a bit of a disappointment. I wouldn't necessarily, it definitely didn't feel like a haunted house movie. Was the house like, you know, cognizant or doing things, participating in the curse? Maybe. But like, if the house was cursed, why didn't they just leave? And that then we start with the premise of, you know, someone trying to take her away, and then Vincent Price says no. So if the house was doing this to them, why didn't they leave? you know, or maybe they feel like they need to, pay for the sins of the father, like that kind of thing. Maybe, but I don't know. I don't know that why they and I guess it could also be seeing characters at the point where they've already tried everything and they've given up. So that's a possibility. I think that's stretching it a bit. I don't know. Anyway, art direction was really good. Those paintings were super creepy. I really liked them though. I really liked them, but they were like they started showing them like as the history before they revealed like the sinister past, but you could tell there was a sinister past. Like you could tell that you were seeing paintings of sinister people. And I don't know if this one was colorized. Um, or if it was in Technicolor, because it was very bright, and I loved that. Like I do like films of this time and that have this sense of drama to them, but it was just unfortunately the pacing was too slow. All of the dialogue was stagnated. There was no progression of the story, and it was not even melodramatic. Like if it was melodramatic, you can sometimes have fun with it. It just was dramatic but flat. So that's why no heart. Probably won't we rewatch it. So still gonna seek out some more haunted house movies. But that one I wouldn't even put on a list like that. So whoever did, I'm shaking my finger at you. So anyway, part of this whole experience is taking risks, and so I'm glad that I did that. I am glad that you've seen it. Hey, it's one more Vincent Price movie, and getting a Roger Corman film on the list for 31 Days of Horror, of course, makes a lot of sense, so there is that as well. Hopefully the next one I will enjoy more, and I will see you for whatever it may be very soon. Thank you so much for watching.